Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to this module, and in this module we are discussing about securing your root account. So I am assuming that you are done setting up your AWS account for the first time, but just hold on. Don't just go about logging in with your root account for your daily activities like your lab assignments or other tasks. It's not a good practice, and in this module we will see how we can secure our root account. Okay, and in addition to that, the intent is that whenever we are logging into the account, the newly created account, we should be logging in with an IAM user. So that will be a user that we'll be creating from the root account, and will give some privileges, admin privileges to that IAM user, and we'll be using that IAM user whenever we are doing our normal day-to-day tasks or assignments. So basically, in a sense, once we have created the account, the root account should be secured, and then that should only be used when we need a very elevated privilege, any task which requires an elevated privilege. Otherwise, we should go about creating an IAM user and give it administrator privileges and use that account for our day-to-day jobs. So what we'll do is that we'll log in as the root user, and then we'll activate the access to the billing and cost management console for you, so that you have an insight into the AWS spends. We'll discuss this topic at length in my next video, wherein I can show you ways so that you can refrain from incurring costs while you are doing or performing your lab activities. Then we'll create an account alias, and so that it is simple, you get a simple alias to access your account via the URL. We'll activate the multi-factor authentication on the root account to secure it, and we'll be using a virtual device like Google Authenticator to activate the MFA. And then what we'll do is that we will create a group, and we will give administrator and AWS budget managed policies, attach administrator and AWS budget managed policies to that particular group. And then we will create a IAM user and attach the newly created group, administrator group, to that particular user, and by virtue of which it will get access to the billing console as well as all the administrator privileges it will be getting. So before I jump onto the lab session, what you can do is that you can go to your Play Store and look for Google Authenticator, and when you do so, you can download it and keep it handy. So basically, when we are into the lab session, when we are going through the steps, at one stage you will be asked to scan a QR code to set up your authenticator. So at that stage you will have to use this option on the authenticator to scan the QR code, and post that your authenticator will be set up, and then you will be getting the authentication codes which you will be using for your future logins. So please keep Google Authenticator handy with you before starting with the steps. So let me go to the management console for the account that we created recently in my previous video. So first thing that we'll have to do is go to accounts, and under accounts, scroll down to IAM user and role access. Okay, and here just click on edit, and once you click edit, you will get option to check activate IAM access. Click here to update. Now once this is done, all that you have to do is go back open IAM services. In IAM, first and foremost, what we'll do is that we'll add the multi-factor authentication, we'll add the MFA device, and as I said, here I'll be using the Google Authenticator. There are other devices as well, like Duo and other virtual devices also you can use. So once you are here, just click on assign MFA, and we are not using any physical device. So what we'll do is that we'll download the Google Authenticator on our phone, and just click on this option and give it a name. So I'll give it the same alias that I will be using everywhere for my account setup as well. I used the similar ID. Now click on QR code, and you will have to scan this QR code using your Google Authenticator app. So once the Authenticator app is set up, what you need to do is that you will have to update the code here, and you will have to feed in a couple of codes to verify. So it refreshes in 30-second cycle. So for the next code you may have to wait for the next cycle. So once you have the refreshed code, you can feed in the code and then click on add MFA. And now you see that your root account with this step has been secured, such that every time from next time that you want to log in to your account, you will have to provide this code from your Authenticator app. So I am signing up, and I am signing into the console again. I'll go to the root user and provide my ID. After providing my password, it will ask for this multi-factor code. So you will need to open your Authenticator app and provide the code as it flashes on your device. And in that way you have secured the root account. Now the next step is that we need to go back to the IAM services, and we will create an IAM user. So now we are in the IAM dashboard, and as you can see here, we have already secured our root account. So securing the root account is not enough. When you want to perform your day-to-day activities in your AWS account, it's not advisable to every time log in with a root account, because root account has very elevated privileges which you don't need generally. What we can do is we can set up a IAM user and give it administrator privileges, and that would be sufficient enough to perform your lab activities. So let's go and set up this user. So navigate to the user groups first. So once you are in user group, what we need to do is that we will create a group, call it administrator. And then we'll look for the policies that we want to attach. So let's look for administrator access. So we can just select this policy. Now the next one that I want to select is, I'm not sure if I deselected it. Okay, so it is selected. Next that I want to look for is AWS budget action with AWS resource control, this policy. So let me look on this. Okay, yeah. So here it goes. So just select this policy and then proceed to create the group. Now this group is created. Now what we'll do is that we'll create a user and we will attach this group name to that particular user. So all the access that is available to this group by virtue of the policies that we have assigned here, the two policies. So you can expand to see all the policy access. So it is actually allowing access on all the resources and all the actions. Similarly for the billing, it is giving all the view access for the billing and for all the resources. So any user that you create and attach to this particular group will have these privileges. So now the next step is go to user, add a user. I'll call this user test user, and I will enable the console access for the user that I'm creating, so he will be able to log into the console, and then I'm giving a password, and you can ask this user to set his own password in the next login, but I am disabling this for now. And we can go to next, and then you have to attach this group to the user that you are trying to create. And then once you are done, you need not worry about the permission boundaries as of now. We will discuss this later when we discuss IAM at length. Now click on next, and we can attach a tag like name, or we can say admin user and just leave it there, and then just click on create user. And so here we are. Now we need to do one more thing, that you need to download this CSV file so that it contains all the password and console password, everything. So just keep it handy with you. You may need it at a later stage. Now I return to the user list. So if you go to this user, you can see the permissions that have been attached. Later you can modify the permissions from here. On the security credentials, it has the console sign-in option. Now what we can do is that we can assign a MFA to this user as well. So you can click on assign, click the Authenticator app, click on next, add. Okay. Let's go user. So click on next. Again, show the QR code. Scan the QR code using your Authenticator app. And then provide the code that you get from there. Wait for next cycle to get the refreshed code. just click on add MFA. So we have activated the multi-factor login for this IAM user as well. Remember, this is a best practice to secure your account. Now in future, if you are trying to use your AWS console, that is your AWS SDKs or AWS command line tool to create resources on AWS, you may require these access keys. So you can create these access keys for command line interface and other applications, and you can click on next. So click on I understand, click on next. So you can say and create the access key. Now it's very important that you download this, otherwise you will not get access key later. So download the CSV file and keep it safe with you, and with that we are done. So what we have done is that to this user we have given the console access, as well as we have given the CLI access, we have enabled the multi-factor authentication, and there are other options as well which are not very important at this stage, but these are some key measures that you need to secure the account. Now we will go back to the IAM dashboard. Now we need to create the account alias. So right now what happens is that the account alias is same as the account ID, and this numeric string is difficult to remember, so we will give something that is easy to remember. So I'll give the same ID that I am using everywhere as the alias, that is TE TechHub 25. So save the changes, and you could see that this is now the URL IAM, and using this URL the IAM users can sign in. So with that we have secured the account and configured the account logins to get started. I will quickly show you by logging out and by using this particular URL. So we go here on sign out, and now what we can do is that we can simply use this URL directly to access our console. It will directly populate the alias, and then all that I need to do is use the username, password, and remember we had added a MFA to this account as well, so I need to provide the MFA code from Google Authenticator app. So let me open up my Authenticator app and feed in the code. And there we go. So we are able to log into our console. So with that we have completed all the steps that we discussed in the slide to secure our account, and now we are ready to proceed with our day-to-day lab exercises. But remember to use the IAM user and not use the root account unless you require an elevated privilege. Now before you start using, I suggest you to follow my next video as well, where I will be giving a walk around of the console. I'll give you a brief insight into the free tier users, and what it will help you with is that it will help you keep your spends within the check. If you are able to understand the free tier users and the policies, you will refrain from incurring any spend in your bills. In addition to that, I will also help you set up a budget alert, so that in case your AWS resource users is going beyond a certain threshold where you start incurring any charges, you will automatically start receiving alerts in your email account with which you have registered for the root account on for the AWS. So that would be helpful in keeping your spends within check, and it will give you a overall view of what all things are there within the console. I will also give you some brief insight into the learning resources and other resources that AWS has for on your disposal. So that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching.